Whew. Here's a big one. Schools and why they favor women. Eepa. I'm gonna get in so much trouble. I'm not gonna have a channel after this. I'm gonna have to redo all of my music playlists. But it is what it is. So, let's go. Lego. Okay. First things on this. A friend of mine just got asked if she was homeschooled because she stated she wanted to be a housewife. That has no correlation to wanting to have been homeschooled. Now, the reason that ignorant question could even cross someone's mind who finished at a basic school level education, like high school, middle school, whatever, the only reason that would cross that person's mind is because they absent-mindedly are completely unaware of the fact that being a housewife is a thing that women should want to do if they want to, but we're judging women for that in this day and age. So my thought is why can't women, or do women not have full rights, not because of men, but because of other women, to not be what they want? You can see the school bias and how it favors women and how it tends to treat men as opposed to women. I like what Jordan Peterson said. It is the emotional writer in school that is the person who writes a story about how they felt that gets a high mark, not a person who writes a story about robots and dinosaurs. What do you think a guy is more likely to write about? Robots and dinosaurs or feelings. So huge thing in school is writing. Writing favors women right now, largely, which is weird because historically speaking, a majority of the best writers have been dudes. And I don't want to come off as a sexist. It's just name anybody who's into writing, any female even, and their favorite writers are all men. It sounds bad, but it's not. It's just what it is. It's the Pareto principle. 20% of anything you'll do in life will give you 80% of your gains in life, and 80% of whatever you'll do will bring you 20% of your gains. What you need to get understood, what needs to be understood, is that the school system has a very rigid and biased structure to it. There's no real interaction for men. Science actually favors women because the cool thing with science is there's multiple ways to find the same. Like 2 or 3 different chemicals can make the same synthetic chemical without the components of the original 2 or 3 that we first found made it. It's just cool, like how chemicals and how bonding and covalence work. That's all cool stuff. Apparently, men are suffering in science and math when men have always been better. My eyes are broken. This is a real weird conversation too, because it's not like, oh yeah, no, the school just favors women here. It favors women along the rules. The spaghetti strap thing and the length of the shorts thing is not oh, you can't wear this, you're not free yet. No, for real, turn 18 in a school, you get totally different treatment. I was 18 my senior year, and I was able to smoke cigarettes across the campus. Like, I had a whole list of shit I could do and get away with that none other kids could because I could call myself out. I did. I don't know why I used my mom's voice for that, but I could call myself out, and so I did. Should have just done it as me all those years, like all that last year, but whatever. But the interesting thing is that men are typically more into science and math because that's an extreme interest in things over people. Writing, I could believe women in school would do better. The reason being is you could write about people, you could write about emotions, you could write and write really well about those things. I'm just saying, if a dude writes a sick story about a monster with a monster dinosaur truck, and it's a cool story and it's good, why you gotta knock that fool's points? And my thing is why are so many assignments focused on emotion if it's not favoring women? Because women experience a greater range of emotions. Guys get 5, and we'll go over that real quick. Guys, your emotions are happy, depressed, or sad. This is just one emotion, depressed or sad. Angry, you get angry. You fucking betrayed. Betrayed's definitely up there. And then the 5th feeling, guys, experience is love. And you gotta be a hell of a woman to bring that to a man's world. But those are about the 5 basic fillings. Everything else is felt in between those on our end. Like, you do something messed up to us, but we're cool with it. That's a mixture of betrayal and love. Like, that ain't. We're filling those 2 fillings at the same time. We're trying to suppress one for the other. But the school system favors women. And another thing is that home ec used to be a part of the school system, and woodworking too, but now they've removed classes that have sort of a gender bias, I would say, to them. I mean, woodshop was all guys when I took the last woodshop class that was going to be offered out here in Colorado. Like, it was all guys. I think there was one girl in there, and that girl didn't want to be in woodshop. She took it, like, for half the year and then took something else. So we ended up being class of just dudes. It happens. Woodshop isn't as interesting to women. Men are profoundly interested in things, going back to the science and math portion of it. But science and math have been favoring women, real quick on that, jumping back. I never completed that thought. But what it is that they are teaching women in a way that women can understand the information easier than men can. So men aren't having as easy of a time taking in this information. There's other ways to teach us. We're more involved. We're actually more kinetic learners. More men are kinetic than more women are. Women are actually more audio-visual learners than kinetic learners. So men need to actually have involvement. If you bring to your male students the assignment every single day, you'll actually actively involve them. Like, if you, bring the assignment to them, you write on the chalkboard and you make them fill in the blanks. Even if it's just like an XY equation or whatever, make them fill in the blanks or solve the equation. Like, actually raise their participation. Call them the dudes, because they need the interaction. Another thing is that male students are often repeatedly bashed in class by teachers and students for wrong answers or just not being good enough. I mean, the only way to get out of that is to be in the sports world, and then, like, even then, if you're in the sports world, I feel for you, dogs, because if you fuck up once, you're fucked. Like, if you didn't win that game in your senior year and the whole senior team was banking on that one win for their cool thing for the year, you fucked too, fam. It's as a guy, the school system just has more negative. Like, women lose their sports competitions and their whole teams still get trophies. You get trophies, I think, in, like, nowadays the top 10 with the dudes teams, but you didn't. Not when I was in school. When I was in school, you would get top 3 teams would get trophies. Seems appropriate. There was also an MVP trophy. I mean, I'm serious. These girls teams are getting whole girls teams MVP trophies, and so it's different. It's very different. And the culture that's being created between men and women is an asymmetrical one. Women are also more likely to go to college due to the structuring of the school system currently. It's actually a huge impact on what's wrong with the school system. It's actually where I chose not to go to college. Believe it or not, no college degrees. I'm actually thinking about just taking some online courses and just passing some things overnight and getting a couple degrees to hang on the wall just to shut people up. I know enough about psychology. I'm pretty sure I could just pass the degree test, so fuck you, psych majors who studied hard. I did this shit for fun. But it's not a passion of mine. School is not a passion of mine, and there's a reason. The reason being is I didn't have good female teachers, and I had 70% female teachers. I had good male teachers who inspired me to learn every day. They made learning sound magical, and they made learning sound like it was going to take me somewhere in life, and I think it has. I think it's given me the ability to comprehend and evaluate subjects and topics and opinions and ideas and ideals and take them all in and consider them, but to weigh out the best ideas against the worst ideas and throw out the worst and keep the best. A lot of my male teachers were very much more into critical thinking than my female teachers. Most of my female teachers would, when they couldn't arrive on a mathematical answer, would just give up with the female student and be like, "That's weird, you did it right, I can't tell why the calculator can't get it. Let's try it on a different calculator," and it works. But instead of finding out that it was some kid who plugged in an algorithm for 2 years ago on that calculator and it's messing everybody's entries up, they just give up. That's the thing, is like, that's the difference between men and women, is women do have this ability to just give up. I never gave up on my education, I just pursued it. I mean, I don't typically, they're also uploaded online, but you can typically find most research journals from college level scientists and college level professors online, or you can ask them directly. Their email's posted, you can write them and be like, hey, I'm not much of a college student, or hey, I'm in college and I'm doing my thesis, and you can ask them for their research and they'll send it to you. It's not like you're just going to be able to steal it, it's already published. You can review those documents. I mean, feel free to, people. I mean, learn something for once. I mean, it's really hard to see how many people have this attitude against learning that it's just gonna destroy them. It's gonna build you. I can understand how negative experiences, though, with the female teachers can lead to a lack of also desiring any higher education. Because I experienced that. That was most of what my school career was me experiencing that my female teachers made me not want to learn. Women make learning not fun for men. That's a fact. I've had one good female boss, and out of the majority of my 80% bosses who were women, it was one, and she was great. Brandy was the best. Bear in mind, she was also a lesbian and also more like-minded to a guy. It was a cool experience, though. But the school system definitely feeds women into the career-filled area of life, and then feeds men into just sort of jobs, just things that you're more replaceable. Like, I know more women without the experience to be managers, but they are managers, or they have the training to manage, and a lot of places can't hire them lower than that now, and that was the intention. Men, if you feel that you've had a jaded working experience, you have. I just want to give a shout out to Acorns here. Invest in. I do temp work right now just because in a rut in life, temp work is easy to come by. But on a real note, I do temp work, and sometimes you lose a temp job. Like, they either hire you or you don't, or they don't at the end of your assignment. That's what it is. It comes down to you're either getting the job or you're not. You don't always get the job. Sometimes they want a different candidate for whatever reason. It's a volley of reasons or a multitude of reasons. You either weren't the best candidate or they didn't feel you were the best candidate is what it usually comes down to. But I mean, when you're not able to have regular work, you got to save somehow. And I really got to give that shout out to Acorns because it's an investment app. I'm a little itchy to pull out money from it is the downside because, like, it's been spiking down real hard and it's been a 20-year drop. It's been a drop that's unheard. I think we're going to approach like I think we're going to have a drop in our stocks that's going to be so economically significant. We haven't seen any sort of drop like this in our stocks in 30, 40 years. It's a time for buying, people. Now is whether the stocks are high or whether they're low. Now is a time for buying because we are coming out of an economic rut that's been going on for about 12, 11 years. We're at the high end of it. Actually, we're at the low end of it still, I would say. Just my best estimate by the market. But, okay, getting back on topic, school favoring women and how but jobs, save money. Acorns helps a lot with that. I'm not itching to pull any of my money out because it's still down right now is my best estimate. It's going to shoot back up eventually. Best estimate. But, going back, I mean, they feed women into careers, they feed women into management, they feed women into higher positions that they're not ready for. My friend was 19 managing a King Soopers and wonders why no one would listen to her. My ex, one of my more recent exes, is my age, 25. I'm 26, but she's going on 25. But wonders why no one listens to her in management. There's two things that help. If you're a dude, you can be gruff and aggressive, and if you're 19, your employees are going to be like, wow, I don't want to get fired by a 19-year-old. Or a 19 to a 24-year-old. When you're a guy, you can do that. Or what you can do as a woman is you can give mad write-ups, and that works too, because that scares the fuck out of anybody you wrote up. Like, they're not going to challenge you twice. They wouldn't do it. They couldn't do it. They were also not allowed to do it. See, they were given those management positions with supervisory coaching, with supervisory. They weren't, even the assistant manager couldn't write up people for being late, even if it was the 30th time or the 35th time. And that's because they needed the manager to do that. And that's not really being an assistant manager or being a manager. It's just weird as men being put off in the world, and especially with school. School is designed to gear you not for the real world. Do not take school like that by any means, guys. School is meant to gear you for work. School is meant to help you get prepared for whatever career fields you want to go into, but bear in mind they may be full. Bear in mind those career fields may not want you. Just bear in mind that, like, you have to have a plan of your own. And men, it's twice as important that you have a plan and a backup plan in today's times, because one plan isn't enough. Unfortunately, a lot of women get by with their first job and they can just hang on to it, or their second job or their third job just sort of works out for them. What you're not seeing is the fact that our workforce is 51% women as of this moment, right now. Our Congress is also at a very similar split. Women are being, the majority of people coming out of colleges are women. The majority of people getting careers, management positions, and higher positions in this world are definitely women. I have a bigger skill sheet than the majority of the women I've worked for. And the messed up thing is that they don't run a company well. Brandy was the only person with a better skill sheet than me, and like, no joke, her resume was beyond compare, and that's really because she focused in on her management skills and establishing those skills when she was younger, and so that's different. Older generations have that with women and men. You'll see that this guy established himself in the automotive field for 15 years before he got an entry at running an automotive shop. Damn, my hair is on epic today. But on a real note, I mean, guys, it's hard out here right now. There's a worldwide suicide epidemic, and it's got our names on it. It's got the sons of America, the sons of the world, the sons of wherever country you're coming at me from with this. Your name is on it. You're a son of the world, and we're faced with an epidemic, and we can't solve it on our own, but women don't want to solve it with us because it's against feminism to help men. It goes against every feminist doctrine to help a man. It really does, and they think the only way to help us is to humiliate us, and that's a huge downside of feminism right now, is that feminism was once an ally in egalitarianism. Same with movements for civil change for the colored folks. Those were movements that were strongly aligned with doing things legally. These groups have changed fundamentally at their core, or maybe they didn't change, they evolved into what they were supposed to finally become. But you have to understand, they're not the group that you want them to be anymore. When my female friends get mad at me because I don't defend feminism anymore, I'm sorry you've had a bad experience or two with a man, but when you make up the shit that you've said, because even my female friends, some of them, I was talking to one of them, you don't really get dick pics unless it's intended. Agreed. Fully agreed. Only 1 in 10 would fully agree, though. But that 1 in 10 also doesn't post pictures of her tits, doesn't post herself in lucrative outfits that you should wear for your mans. Unless you're trying to be a porn star. I get that. If you're trying to do porn, show your body off. Be like, hey, look at me, I'm looking good. Show it off. Go ahead. If you're trying to do porn, that is one thing. But bear in mind, that's when you're trying to do porn and you're going to get dick pics, and you kind of got to be polite, because those are your fans now. That's not just random internet guy sending you a dick pic. He's your fan who's sending you $5,000 a month. You can't burn that dude out that way. Because there goes your paycheck right there. But the thing is that we live in an age where you have to defend feminism or you hate women. You have to defend Greta or you hate children. You have to defend this or you are that. And that doesn't make sense to me. Because okay, let me put it like this. If I see 10 teenagers ganged up on one teenager and an old man on his lawn watching, I don't expect the old man to get up. I'd hope to God that old man's on the phone with the police, so when I run over there, I can just break shit up without having to swing. That's what I'm hoping for. That's the kind of society we need to remind ourselves that we need to be. You don't expect the old dude or the disabled dude to get in there and put down action. So why the fuck are you gonna tell me that me and the disabled dude are capable of the same? Maybe we're not. Maybe that guy's a genius. Maybe this kid sitting in a wheelchair has a fucking better mind than I do. Maybe they're a 192 IQ and I will never be that. And maybe that's what they are. And maybe they're that much more intelligent than us. But so, should they not use their mind to solve situations? Should we be asking that person to do what somebody with 2 full legs can do if they're in a wheelchair? No, I don't think that's right. See, and that example will bug the left if you flip it on them like that, because they'll go, that's not what we're doing. But it is what you're doing, but you're doing it in reverse. You're telling me I should live in a wheelchair because this guy has to, and that I should give up the ability to use my legs, which are my natural ability, over this guy. And maybe if this guy had legs and a 192 IQ, maybe you gotta consider how fucking awful that would be for the rest of the world. This guy's running around causing fucking problems now. And you wouldn't be able to deduce that because they'd be so manipulative, so intelligent that you wouldn't. That's my point there. But see, you have to remember, when you make a point to a leftist, it's best to convey your point in reverse. And the reason that is that way when you break the point down, you break it down in reverse and you break it down backwards, and it allows people to actually understand their logic being backwards. Because they'll go forward with another example in their head automatically without you saying anything. And then when they do that, they're trapped. You've got them in the trap. They're going to get stuck. They're going to go, okay, hold on. Usain Bolt is a fast runner. I can't ask Usain Bolt to sit in a wheelchair because that would be taking away his right to run really, really fast to make a living doing that. But we're doing this to men now. Now we're doing it exclusively to men. Now take men and make them the able-bodied party. Make women the disabled-bodied party. Well, men have been doing this. Let's put construction here for years. More women need to feel welcomed in the world of construction. Women choose not to do construction for 20, 30 years. We don't see women in construction. Now we see a small spike in women in construction. And I met a female construction foreman once. Her boots never got dirty. And I just want anyone who works construction anyone watching this right now who's worked construction just lost respect for that foreman. Because I said it. I worked next to them for 2 months, and I saw her every day for 2 months, and never once were her boots dirty. They were only ever dirty on the bottoms. And she was able to clean them completely with just a quick swipe on the rug. Just swipe, and clean boots. And that was it. That was it. I have never seen a foreman with clean boots on a construction site outside of that. But that was a female foreman that I had met. Did not do anything but run the machinery all day and tell people to get off of machines instead of allowing them to run them. Always a guy. The women on her crew, there were 2 others, and they just worked the traffic. It's like that now. And those 2 women will probably become foremans when that foreman moves up in the company. Or when she decides to open her own company. It's really messed up right now, I'm telling you. And the fucked up thing is that it's not that women don't care, but look what happened with the bridge construction job. It completely collapsed. It was a job done by completely feminist construction workers. We've been building bridges for thousands of years and have it down to an exact science. It's very easy to build a bridge now. You can look up famous bridges that have lasted thousands of years, and you'll find a list of like 10 to 7 bridges that have lasted that long. I'm not trying to gloat, but just in case there's some aliens watching, my bros here on the planet, we as a people on this planet are excellent bridge builders. Whether that is through social or physical means. We know how to build a bridge until you get feminists to do it, and then the bridge cannot be built successfully. This is a problem I'm seeing in the world. Female management can't run gas stations. I've been into many gas stations since my youth, since I used to work in gas stations frequently. Let me tell you something about that. Every male manager I had made sure all the bathrooms were clean, made sure every sink and every counter and every tabletop and everything was dusted, everything had to sparkle. I only had that experience with a female manager once, and she only expected that from me because the rest of the crew was her family and a bunch of females. And with that being said, Going back to the educational portion again, it's the education that leads you out from school to somewhere else in the world. It's unfortunate that is the exact circumstance, but that is what it is. Your education should not define you. I don't believe it does. I believe there are people much smarter than me who dropped out and got a GED and went on to pursue their lives and are living much better now than I ever was or ever will be, just because they got a head start. You lucky motherfuckers. But outside of that, I really do believe there are a lot of smart people who never finish school, and I really believe this is a message for you guys, for you gals out there who are extremely smart and never finish school and doubting yourself. Go out there and do what you want to do. Make your dreams come true. Hire maybe a dude along the way to help with the business. If the business is something you're bad at. Women are also really good in a boardroom for business too. So like, I advise it the other way too. Men, hire a lady for your boardroom because she'll come up with alternative ideas and be agreeable. You need someone agreeable on your boardroom. Someone who's either in your pocket or someone who you can agree with in a hurry because you're like, we need an idea quick. Sarah, what's you got? Oh, bam, 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 bam. And then everybody in the boardroom, like that idea, I like that, let's try it. If it doesn't work, everybody's accountable because we all agreed with Sarah. Boom. But on the other end of that, it does, I think to run a business that's a general business for everyone, I think you do need a man and a woman. I don't think the race matters per se, but I think you need a man and a woman behind the business. Men are going to do a lot better with the marketing and with structuring the business, the payouts, the financial structure. Women are going to do really good with the word of mouth, passing of the business along, and also, again, in the boardroom, the agreeability is huge. That's a psychological factor, not a difference between the sexes factor. This is going to be a long video, so I'll probably upload this one in the next couple weeks. And then some of the others that I've got topics lined up, and I'll be honest, I'm going off of what the news gives me, what I wake up to in the morning, and then from there I just make the video. I mean, you have to understand I've been here 26 years. Most of my thoughts are pretty well formed on these topics, so I've also done a lot of research in my prime. I also do research before I bring you guys any stories or any news or any... I also try not to bring you guys too much news. I try to bring you guys my take on the news, just where I stand on things. This one is more in response to a social situation. I would really like to see address the male suicide crisis. Unfortunately, we need to reclaim our place in the world, I believe, as men. To have that, we need to be leaders in the home, leaders in the world. And I think we need to find a way to make it happen, guys, because we're not doing it now, and that's... Those of us who are hanging on are letting our brothers who aren't down, and we gotta figure out something soon, because I'm tired of losing homies to that shit. Like, on a real, I'm real tired of losing homies to them dying. I'm real tired of losing people because the world's hard on a man. Like, that shouldn't be why you lost somebody. It's because they took their own life because the world is hard. But for men, it is that hard. I want that to be acknowledged. I don't want this to come off as whining. That it does a bit. I have to admit it does. But on the other end of it, there's a frustration felt only along one half of this generation. Only along one half of this generation. Only along the male half of this generation. And it's amongst us dudes that we feel this societal betrayal. If you didn't have a good start, it's harder to get ahead now as a guy. Because now everybody's trying to take from you. Now everybody says, well... but you're a privileged male because you're a male. What does that mean? What does that mean? Or your situation's only bad because of this or that related to your skin tone. No. What does that mean? To me, that means that the person explaining that is racist, sexist, bigoted. If their only logic is, well, he's a man, so he makes more. Maybe he works harder and picks up an extra shift. Maybe he does something that you don't do and provide for his company. And that's just what it is. I'm just here like, it's cool though, fam. We gonna make it through it. It's just, guys, really don't be giving up out there that easy. If you're in your 20s and shit's real bad, I've been there. I've been kicked out 6 times, and I'll talk about that shit in the video. I haven't been kicked out to anything to do to my own fault. Yeah. Sure. No, hold up. In part, there was my own fault because I had to come back to this fucking crazy household that I'm staying in now. And I can explain that in another video too. It's gonna be more of this women ruling the world shit, but I mean, on the real though, like they took over education, man. Education was the biggest way to get your name out into a job beforehand, and now if you got female educators and they clashed with you, fam, don't put your teacher's name down on a job reference as somebody who knows you as reliable, because that bitch will turn around and talk shit. I guess a good question. It's 30 minutes in. This is going to be one of the longest videos on my channel. What was your experience, guys, with the school system? And ladies, how did your experience with the school system benefit or not benefit you in your career field or going out into the world? Two separate questions. Answer them both. Both of y'all have a great week. Have a good one, YouTube. Signing off.